Okay, for my last fight for March Metal Mayhem, I initially had a much more unique idea for how to do this sort of thing, but when I first idea maybe like, Daleks, Borgs, Terminators, people threw out Borg's Terminators. I started working it through and I was like, oh man. Humanoid, robot, hybrids versus just machines. It didn't seem to be as cool because when both sides don't use dialogue, it's kind of dull. So instead I was like, you know what? Let's go with Daleks. Daleks, since you want to exterminate all of life, the Borg want to assimilate all of our life, that makes sense. You have the ability to just destroy everything, and they want to absorb everything into the collective. So that makes sense. So we got Daleks on one hand, the main, most iconic villain of Doctor Who, and the Borg. Not the main, but probably one of the more iconic things movies like First Contact. So we have regular Dalek, regular Borg. So we're not looking at like, Borg Queen. I'm not using the cube. I'm just looking at regular Dalek, regular Borg. For their 9 criteria system. Intelligence, findability, strength, speed, durability, invulnerability, energy projection, versatility, X factor. If it's 5 to 4, person with 5 more, I think is going to win. So here we go. Intelligence. They both have hive minds, however, even Doctor Who has said that the Daleks are at the absolute height of invention. So very, very logical. Supremely logical individuals. Or collective, however I look at it. Findability. Daleks don't have arms. Really don't have any sort of fighting ability. Where the Borg has actually gained the findability from all its other groups that's assimilated. And actually being humanoid in style actually allows them to do things. A lot more than what you see from the Dalek itself. Strength. Daleks really don't have a need for overall physical strength, where you actually see that in the Borg. Speed. This where it gets kind of weird. Daleks can fly upstairs, they can't walk upstairs. They're not incredibly fast. Where Borg are actually very, very quick. They do hit a point where they're pretty much peak human, which allows them to move a lot faster than a Dalek. Durability. Only one that has actual regenerative abilities. A Borg, if it gets damaged too much, is done. A Dalek actually has regenerative capabilities. Invulnerability. Borg does have a shield that takes time to really, essentially, adapt its way to a phaser fire, versus a being that has only one weak spot, and that is the center of an eye stalk. Beyond that, every other regular style of a projectile or laser attack actually disintegrates before it hits the shell. If it hits the shell, it doesn't do anything. That's a tremendous amount of invulnerability. Raw energy projection. Borg normally are pretty much phaser above phaser. They really don't have to stand issue that much higher than that. Dalek's laser weaponry is just ridiculous. We're looking at a Dalek pretty much kind of looking at a Borg, the Borg realizing it's a threat, the Dalek realizing it's facing a threat, Borg probably not shooting the eye socket, probably going for a body shot instead, and the Dalek landing off one shot and just blowing a hole straight through the shielding of the Borg. Now we're looking at versatility. Here I was like, is it the inventive ingenuity that we see from the Dalek side, or is it the full assimilated knowledge you see from the collective? I think there's a lot more versatility you're going to see in a Borg unit. But not only because you're going to have the regular humanoid style, it's also going to have a tremendous amount of different sort of inputs to it. You're going to see a lot more variation, a lot more modification that can be done from a standard Borg unit than with a Dalek. Dalek already believes itself to be at the very absolute height of evolution. So now what's it come down to? At last, we had that X factor. I'm actually going to give that to the Dalek. Main reason why. When it comes to the Borg have had issues with regular humans. Again, not assuming a Borg cube. They've had issues with regular phaser fire. Regular individual humans have given them problems. The Dalek have been able to very easily exterminate things like Cybermen. Cybermen may or may not be the prototype or the initial ideogenesis for something like the Borg, but Cybermen essentially are assimilated humans or assimilated humanoids in a full metal suit, where a Borg still has exposed skin areas. So Daleks have actually been able to defeat a much wider, much stronger depth of individuals, and does that pretty easily. So in this sort of fight, what the Borg actually has to stay out of the direct line of sight and try so he can find a weak spot. So the moment that Dalek gets a direct bead, it's going to be one shot, hole through it, dead Borg. And they might kind of go, this looks interesting. We should probably destroy the Borg cube. And seeing some of the weapons that can easily destroy universes, I'm pretty sure Borg cube, which has had issue with Federation ships, is going to very easily be destroyed by a Dalek ship.